Sarah worked at a tiny phone repair shop in downtown, barely making enough to cover her rent and her daughter's medical bills. Her small business was struggling, with only 2 customers that week, when an elderly man walked in with tears in his eyes, holding his broken phone containing the last voicemails from his late wife. Sarah spent 3 hours fixing it. She knew he couldn't afford the repair cost, so she did it for free. That evening, she had to skip dinner to save money. The next morning, a black limousine stopped outside her shop. A man in an expensive suit stepped out holding an envelope that would change Sarah's life forever. Hi everyone, welcome to Mythos Weaver. Today I'm excited to share a new story with you. Sarah opened her small phone repair shop early that morning. The street was quiet as she checked her account balance on her phone, only $30 remained. She sighed and turned the sign on her door to open. The rent for her shop was due in 3 days, and her daughter, Emma, needed her medication refilled next week. Sarah had been trying to save every penny, even skipping lunch most days. At the back of the local drugstore, Emma located what she needed from her attic. Maybe today will be different, Sarah said to herself, organizing her tools on the workbench. By noon, only 1 customer had come in for a screen protector. Sarah sat at her desk looking through unpaid bills when the bell above the door chimed. An elderly man walked in slowly, his hands shaking as he held an old flip phone. "Can someone help me with this phone?" the man asked, his voice trembling. Sarah stood up and guided him to a chair. "Please sit down, I'm Sarah. What seems to be the problem?" The man's eyes were red. "My name is Robert. This phone won't turn on anymore. My wife, Mary, passed away last month. Her voice messages are in here. It's all I have left of her voice." Sarah carefully took the phone. The battery was completely dead, and the charging port was damaged. This would take hours to fix. "How much will it cost?" Robert asked, pulling out a worn wallet. Sarah noticed his shabby coat and scuffed shoes. She saw him counting $1 bills with trembling fingers. "Let me take a look first," Sarah said. She opened the phone carefully. The internal components needed cleaning, and the battery needed replacement. Robert sat quietly, watching her work. "Mary and I were married for 42 years. Every night when I came home from work, she left me a voice message telling me she loved me. Even after all those years." Sarah worked meticulously, cleaning each component. She had a spare battery that would fit. After 3 hours of careful repair, the phone powered on. Robert's eyes lit up when he heard the message notification sound. "How much do I owe you?" Robert asked, reaching for his wallet again. Sarah smiled. "No charge today. Just promise to keep those memories safe." Robert's eyes filled with tears. "But you spent so much time." "Sometimes things are worth more than money," Sarah said. After Robert left, Sarah counted her remaining cash, $22. Now she turned off the shop's heating to save on electricity. As the sun set, she locked up the shop, wondering how she would manage the rent payment. That night, she made a simple dinner for Emma, saving the larger portion for her daughter. As she lay in bed, Sarah didn't regret her decision. Some things, she thought, really were worth more than money. The next morning, Sarah arrived at her shop earlier than usual. She needed to catch up on paperwork before opening. The street was quiet, except for the occasional passing car. At exactly 9 o'clock, a black limousine pulled up outside her shop. Sarah looked up from her desk, confused. A tall man in a dark suit stepped out and walked toward her door. "Are you Sarah?" the man asked as he entered. "Yes, that's me," Sarah replied, standing up. "My name is Michael. I am Robert's son. He told me about what you did for him yesterday." Sarah remembered the elderly man and his phone. "Oh, it was nothing special. I just wanted to help." Michael walked closer to her desk. "It was special to my father. Those voice messages mean everything to him. I've been trying to get him to move in with me since Mom passed away, but he refuses to leave their old house. Sarah listened as Michael continued. I saw him smile yesterday for the first time since we lost Mom. He called me last night and played me one of her messages. Do you know how long it's been since I heard my mother's voice? Longer than I can ever return. Sarah noticed Michael's eyes getting wet. He pulled out an envelope from his suit pocket. I own a chain of electronic stores in the city. We're opening a new branch next month. I've been looking for someone to manage our repair department, someone who understands that phones and computers can hold more than just data. Sarah's heart began to beat faster. The position pays $70,000 a year with full health benefits, Michael said. After seeing how you helped my father, I know you're the right person for this job. Sarah sat down slowly. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Michael smiled. We need people like you who understand that kindness matters in business too. Sarah thought about Emma's medical bills, about her struggling shop. Yes, she said quietly. Thank you. One more thing, Michael added. The job starts next week, but I'd like to hire your services today. We have hundreds of old phones in our warehouse that need repair. We donate them to senior centers. Would you be interested in helping with that? Sarah nodded, trying to hold back tears. Of course. I'll have them delivered this afternoon. Standard repair rates apply, Michael said. I believe in paying for good work. As Michael left, Sarah sat at her desk, stunned by how life could change so quickly. She picked up her phone to call Emma. Today, she would have good news to share. That afternoon, a delivery truck arrived at Sarah's shop. 2 workers carefully brought in boxes of old phones. Sarah cleared space on her workbenches, organizing her tools methodically. Mom, can I help sort them? Emma asked, having come to the shop after school. Sarah smiled at her daughter. Sure, honey. Put the ones that turn on in this box, and the completely dead ones over there. Emma picked up a phone. Like the one you fixed for that nice old man? Yes, just like that one, Sarah replied, showing Emma how to check the batteries. The bell chimed, and Robert walked in. He looked different today, standing straighter, his eyes brighter. Sarah, I had to come thank you again, Robert said. I listened to all of Mary's messages last night. Each one of them. Sarah paused her work. How are you feeling today? Better than I have in weeks. Michael told me about offering you the job. That boy is always looking out for people, just like his mother. Emma walked over. Did you really love your wife enough to save all her messages? She asked. Sarah started to explain, but Robert raised his hand. It's okay, Robert said. Yes, I did. Sometimes the smallest things become our biggest treasures. Sarah watched as Robert showed Emma his phone, playing one of the messages. Her daughter's eyes widened at hearing Mary's gentle voice saying, Hello, my love. Just calling to remind you to take your medicine. I love you. The afternoon passed quickly as they worked. Sarah repaired phones while Emma and Robert sorted them, sharing stories. Robert told them about his 42 years running a small bookstore with Mary. She would have liked you both, Robert said. She always said kindness comes back in unexpected ways. By evening, Sarah had fixed 20 phones. Each one would go to someone who needed it. She thought about her new job starting next week, about being able to afford Emma's medicine without worry. She felt a sense of accomplishment and pride for all the progress she'd made. She set the phone down, then stood back to consider. Will you visit us at the new store? Sarah asked Robert as he prepared to leave. Every week, Robert smiled. Someone needs to make sure you're not giving away free repairs to everyone. After Robert left, Emma hugged Sarah. Mom, I'm proud of you. Sarah held her daughter close. Sometimes being kind is the smartest business decision you can make. That night, Sarah updated her shop sign. Below phone repairs, she added, every device has a story. A week later, Sarah stood in her new workspace at Michael's electronics store. The repair department was spacious with modern equipment she could only dream of before. Her old tools from the shop sat beside the new ones, familiar friends in a strange place. She smiled, feeling grounded despite the big changes. "Your first customer is here," Michael said, walking in with Robert. "I thought I might test out the new repair manager." Robert smiled, holding up his phone. "The screen is getting dim." Sarah gestured to the chair beside her workbench. "Have a seat in my new office." As she worked on the phone, other employees stopped by to introduce themselves. Each one had heard the story of how she got the job. Sarah enjoyed meeting them and shared some of the wisdom she gained during her time in the small shop. "The senior sent her," Michael said, returning with coffee for everyone. They received the first batch of repaired phones. 3 people cried when they could finally call their grandchildren. Sarah adjusted the screen brightness on Robert's phone. "Sometimes a phone is the only connection people have to their loved ones." "That's why I want you to train our repair team," Michael said. "Teach them what you taught me about caring for customers." Sarah looked up. "You want me to train others?" "You'll be head of the repair department. These people need to learn from someone who understands both technical skills and human connection." A young technician named David approached Sarah's bench. "Can you show me how you clean the internal components the way you did with Robert's phone?" "Pull up a chair," Sarah said. "First rule, treat every device like it holds someone's most precious memories." Grady grabbed the first fruit fly from a slice of bagel Sarah had left to eat. Throughout the day, Sarah worked with her new team. She showed them how to handle repairs with care, how to listen to customer stories, how to understand that sometimes they were fixing more than just phones. It was about preserving memories, and they understood that more with each passing repair. Robert stayed, watching Sarah teach. "Mary would have loved seeing this," he said quietly to Michael. "Your mother always said one act of kindness could change everything." "Oh," Michael said, appearing surprised. When Sarah handed him a cloud. "That's why I'm expanding the senior center program," Michael replied. "Sarah will oversee free repairs for seniors who can't afford them. We'll cover the costs." Sarah overheard them and smiled. Her small act of kindness hadn't just changed her life. It was going to help change others' lives too. At closing time, Emma arrived from school. "Mom, how was your first day?" "Perfect," Sarah said, hugging her daughter. "Want to learn how to fix a phone?" 3 months later, Sarah sat in her office reviewing the repair department's monthly reports. The Senior Center program had helped over 200 elderly people stay connected with their families. "Sarah, do you have a minute?" Michael asked, entering her office. "Of course," Sarah replied, setting down her papers. "The board reviewed your department's performance. Customer satisfaction is up 80%. They want to expand the senior program to all our locations." "In my opinion," Sarah smiled, "that would help so many people. They also approved your suggestion about the apprenticeship program. We can start training high school students in basic repairs next month." Emma walked in after school, carrying her backpack. She had started spending afternoons learning basic phone repair from Sarah's team. "Mom, guess who I saw at the senior center today?" Emma said. Robert was teaching other seniors how to save their voicemails as audio files. He visits there every week now. Michael added, says it helps him feel close to Mom, showing others how to preserve their memories. David knocked on the office door. "Sarah, could you help me with something?" An elderly woman brought in her late husband's old phone. "The speaker is damaged, but she says it has their wedding psalm on it." "I'll be right there," Sarah said, standing up. She walked to the repair bench where an elderly woman waited anxiously. The phone was at least 15 years old. "Can you fix it?" the woman asked softly. Sarah carefully opened the phone. "We'll do our best. Would you like to tell me about the song while I work?" As Sarah repaired the phone, her team gathered around, watching her technique. Emma sat nearby, taking notes. They all shared the quiet intensity of the moment, understanding that this was no longer just about fixing phones. This was more than a job now. It had become a mission to preserve memories, to keep connections alive. That evening, as Sarah locked up the store, she remembered the day Robert first walked into her small shop. One simple decision to help someone had created a ripple effect, touching hundreds of lives. Ready to go home? Emma asked, holding up Sarah's coat. Yes, Sarah said. But first, let's visit Robert at the senior center. He's teaching a class on saving photo albums to digital storage today. As they walked out, Sarah looked at the store's new sign. Every device has a story. Every story matters. Love this story? Tap that like button and subscribe to Mythos Weaver for more. Let us know how this story made you feel with a single word in the comments.